So today we have the extraordinary Victor and Adela Fire. By the way, how did I meet Adela? Or how did I know her, not even meet? You know, is that sometimes I'll see my husband on YouTube and he will just be laughing. And one day he was like, Adiola will not kill me. I'm like, which Adiola will not kill you? Like, what does that even sound like? So he said, oh, I should come and watch. And then I saw that there are those videos of, work with respect to politics and stuff like that, or just really calling out injustice was, and how she put a lot of humor into it. Well, that was what was making my husband laugh. By the way, Adela, stop making my husband laugh. You know, that's how I got to know her, and then I started watching more and more of her. And introducing Victor Fayon. He's an architect, a rhetor, and also a veteran. And and also Adiola is, thank you for clapping, my host. And Adiola is a producer of Keeping It Real, and she truly keeps it real with Adiola, and a political satire show. Together they own a hair care line for Adob's Naturals. It's a hair product for, I think, mostly natural hair or any kind of, because
Any
I
kind of hair, but yeah,
know.
mostly natural.
Okay, so together they own that. And one of the things that also encourages me is when company ventures are owned with husbands and wife. I can tell you that that is not a thing of we are zooming on this. Well, it takes a lot for them. Maybe they will tell us more about that as we go. So just to get onto it, because of our time, Adela, do you want to tell, or no, both of you, or okay, let me start with Mr. Victor. Do you want to tell us how many years it's been since you two said I do?
Um, it's been hi everyone. Thank you so much for having us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. So it's been 14 years that we've been.
14 good years, guys. That's not that's not even an easy thing. So yes, it's been 14 years.
If you can hear
So
us,
it's
you're
just been,
frozen.
oh,
Someone just sent me a text. They're watching from Botswana, and they were like, "Why is your internet acting out?"
oh my. And I don't even know why this is not allowing me switch my network, because I have another access, but
If you close all other tabs and windows, it should help. So that this is the only thing open on your computer.
right. Okay, let me go do that. I'm in America, oh, people. For network,
that's that's why we're also
they didn't tell us so. Okay, I closed all the other tabs.
we can be answering questions while you're doing
Okay,
that.
so I'm trying to multitask as much as possible. So the next question is, if your marriage were a book, what would be the title of its current chapter, the very current one, and what's one key lesson you are learning in it right now?
I'll let Adela answer
Victor, go
that.
ahead now. What chapter are you? You may be in different chapters. What chapter are you?
So currently we're trying to figure out and enjoy raising kids. um, we waited a little for a few years before having kids and also running a business, all of that. So it's been like having your own business and raising kids as little as 2 and 4 year olds.
Chapter.
Yeah. So it's a little challenging. We're enjoying it, but uh, in this country where you don't have help as much as we do back home in Nigeria, it could be a little challenging when you have your own business that you're doing yourself and then you're raising kids without any help. Yep.
So we're in the raising toddlers chapter, if that makes sense. Hi, can you hear us? I think you're frozen. Hello? Hello? Okay, I think we are live. It's just us. Hi, everyone. Can you hear us? We are still live. Yep, we are still live. We can still hear us. Okay, we're just waiting for our host. Hi, Victor.
Hi, Adela.
Okay, we're live, guys. We just, yay, she's back.
So
Hi.
was it me all the time? I kept saying, oh my God. Yeah, so we are back. So I don't know what last thing you heard, but I was just saying that raising toddlers in this environment is actually different. Not having the community or immediate community to support it a lot. So I
Yeah,
love that conversation around that. But can you tell us the title of that chapter?
raising kids chapter.
Raising kids. We're talking
Raising,
about ventures too. So
raising toddlers chapter.
raising,
They're a handful. So our
Mhm.
son just on two. Some people will say terrible two. We refuse to say terrible two, but
Yeah,
aye,
it's a lot.
yes, it's a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So I love that raising kids, and
But
um,
I think the one thing that is helping us, Victor mentioned it briefly. He said we waited a little. That's not true. We waited a really long time.
hmm,
And the reason we did that was because we there were things that we wanted when we started raising kids. And so for us, it was like we planned, and it's helping us right now in enjoying raising them. So, like, one of the things that we had said at the time was that we wouldn't have kids while we were living in an apartment.
hmm,
We would have a house, have rooms where like the grandmas can stay when they come to help us take care of kids. We would make sure that we have at least one SUV that will be 7 seaters so that everybody can fit in the car with the kids and the grandmas when they come and all that before we have the kids. So that took us a really long time to achieve because it took us a really long time to get our residency in America. And so now, even though they're a handful, we're not complaining because God has been so good. He's been so faithful. We are able to, we spend a lot of time
hmm.
together with them. We travel together. We travel the world together with the kids. You know, they are not a burden at all. It's just that they keep us on our toes,
Yeah,
really. So, but we're enjoying it. So, the lesson we learned from that is, I think, coming from Nigeria, I think a lot of people don't give much thought into becoming parents before they become parents. If you want to be a teacher, you go to school for like 4 years. If I'm talking too much, Victor, let me know. If you want to be whatever it is that you want to practice, you go to school, for some years to be prepared before you do that thing. I think a lot of times people don't give enough time to prepare for marriage and also to prepare for being parents. It's one thing to become husband and wives, It's another thing to become parents, you know. So I think sometimes people don't take enough time to prepare to be parents. So we wanted to make sure that we prepare, and I think we will still talk more about that as you go on in your questions. So for us, it was very important for us to prepare for the children before the children come. So that's what we did.
Awesome. So I think I went off again. I'm back, to the
Yes.
wedding day. Yeah. But okay, so I love that, and thanks for sharing with us. I was having a conversation with someone recently, and honestly, we are all on the journey, we are all learning, we are all getting better to ensure that we get this thing right. And I said that I kind of feel like there are too many kids raising kids these days, and that is why, the things are getting better. Let me not say, in the environment. I'm trying to use the very positive words, but that's why we see a lot of issues that are challenges with people with children being raised, because if a kid is raising a kid, what do you expect? So it's basically saying that we need to prepare for this journey, and we all need to know that parenting is not, we will cross the bridge when we get there. No, we prepare for parenting. Thanks for sharing that. And
Mhm.
if you could give one piece of advice to yourselves on your wedding day, knowing what you know now, what would that advice be?
Um, for me, I think so. When we do our things, we are very intentional. Right from the beginning, we've been very intentional.
Hmm.
Even I remember us talking, like when we were getting ready for our wedding, we were saying, telling ourselves that we're going to enjoy this. We're not going to care about uh, food is not enough, the cake didn't arrive on time, or something is not working as planned. So, like, we've been very intentional. We talk through things like all the time, even before we even start. So, for me, I can't think of anything right now, but maybe
You can't think of any advice
any
to give
advice.
yourself. You don't want to change anything.
No, I don't want to change anything.
Oh my God. I love that. Is it the same for you, Adela? Tell us.
Yeah, I have a lot to change. I think I wrote down a list of things that I want to change. Um, no, actually, it's just one thing that I would have changed. I would have advised myself that relax.
Mhm.
Um, there will be trials that would come, but because you're with your best friend, everything will be fine. Like,
Mhm.
after the wedding ceremony, later in life, couples face challenges. Like all couples face challenges. So I wish I would have advised myself, when the trials of life come, that has nothing to do with us, just like trials of life in general. Because you're with your best friend, you guys, you'll be able to go through fire together. You will not be burnt. You'll be able to go through deep waters together. You will not drown because God is with you. So for the wedding day, we had fun. We totally enjoyed ourselves. Like he said, we were already determined that we will enjoy this day. Whether people come on time, whether the cake designer made it or not, like whatever happens,
Mhm.
we enjoyed this. And that was what we did. We enjoyed the day, we enjoyed each other, we held hands the entire time. So we had fun.
Awesome. I love that.
And
Okay,
we
so
enjoyed the evening too.
don't tell us that one now. Please, there are singles on the call. Please, we don't want pressure. Any form of pressure, we silence. Oh, singles, I love you people. Yeah, so on behalf of my singles, I'm like, please, no pressure for us. I can see Oladele Mary saying hi, Adela and Victor.
Hi,
I
I
Mary.
see um
We know Mary.
Cherry Beavers and
How are
Cherry,
you?
I hope I pronounced your name right, saying hi. And then yes, I can see Dr. Grace, my very good friend, saying I can hear you, Adela. Why is it only Adela that you can hear, Dr. Grace? I don't
So
understand.
I don't know. Did you enable live chat? Because
Yes. So the chat is feeding from, I think, YouTube. That's what I think. And I
yeah,
can
but it stopped coming in. I think people are still trying to write, but I think you may need to check your settings to allow live chat.
Oh, is there? Can you see it now?
Yeah, like I'm on there right now. Let me see.
Is it on YouTube? Are you on YouTube or Instagram?
I went on your YouTube. I put in hi. I
Let me
put in
see.
hi. Oh, okay,
I
okay.
can see your high coming in.
It came in. Okay, it came in.
Yeah, I can see your high coming in. But I
Yeah.
usually just keep it so that it doesn't distract us.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll ask this question. So there's this scripture that I love so much about marriage. Everyone that has ever signed up to be counseled by me or whatever, we always hear this scripture. And it's in Matthew 19. I strongly believe it's verse 11. Yeah, Matthew 19:11. And this said, but Jesus said, I'm reading from the Hello Everybody Joy We See You. Joy, yeah. Let me not shorten your your name, but it says Matthew 19:11, it says, but Jesus said, not everyone is matured enough to live a married life. It requires a certain aptitude and grace. Marriage isn't for everyone. I just quoted from the scripture, guys. I didn't read from my head, and with respect to this, I want to ask this question. Like, if you what and I strongly believe from this scripture, actually three keywords I used to stress in that scripture. It says that maturity, not everyone is matured enough to get married. That means there's a certain amount, or there's a certain level of maturity required for people to be married. And there is also an aptitude skill that is required for people to stay and be married. And there is also the place of grace. That, for me, I believe, is the God factor in your marriage. And yes, Omalewa, I see you. Hi, we're saying hi. Abbas your phone. Hi, I can see you guys. Okay, so the question now is that with respect to that, what is one spiritual discipline? And I'm trying to think of what other thing to say, But what's one discipline with respect to your faith that you guys practice together that has significantly strengthened your bond with each other and with God?
Don't take that.
No, you go
So
ahead.
I like the way, do you know that thing that Jesus said, mother look at your child, the child but face like, do you want to show that way, like, oh, do you want me to see something
We're having trouble hearing you.
about it?
We heard the question, but then oh, I think you're going. So do you want us to answer while we're waiting?
So when we face challenges, we run to God each time. Like, you are bound to face challenges in marriage, but we make sure it doesn't affect us, it doesn't tear us apart. We just take it to God in prayers, and we look through the Bible and see what lessons we can learn from it. But most importantly, we take our challenges to God. We run to God with our challenges. We don't let it shake us.
I
Yeah,
love that. We run to God with our challenges. Over to you, Miss. Before I put it
yeah.
over to you.
Um, I definitely think that you know praying together, reading the Bible, and I know that people say it all the time. It's overused. It's become like a cliche, but
Hmm.
it works. It works. Also, um, that is our daughter talking things out. Communication, keeping the communication running at all times. Whether you feel like it, whether you don't feel like it, you communicate. I also think one of the best thing that works for us is we're friends. We're
Hmm.
best friends. So no matter what, we'll be friends. Whether you whether I'm feeling him or he's feeling me or I'm not feeling him or he's still my friend.
Hmm. I
So
like I like that area you just went to, like, whether I'm feeling him. Please tell us about it, because when I'm talking to single people, one of the first thing they put forward, and why I understand that chemistry is important with respect to marriage, but one of the first things they put forward almost all the time is a conversation around, I love him. and I can even me, I can sense the butterfly as they're explaining it to me. So, I like that direction that you took it. Yes, Mr. Victor has emphasized that you take it all to God, and you have said that when you're feeling it or you're not feeling it, tell us about that. Is it every single day that you feel like, God, I love this man? Or, and you to feel like, oh, Adela, I love you, as if, has there been a day you just feel like, what did I even see? Or, has there been a day that anything triggered you to feel like, "Oh, why did I even choose this guy? Or why did I choose that lady? Kind of thing. Tell us about that.
So I'm not saying this, with as pride, but for me, there has never been a day that I'm like, what did I see in this guy? As
Mhm.
when it comes to Victor, I mean, look at him now.
Uh-uh. Hey, pleasure.
This
Pleasure, Lord.
the First of all, he's beautiful. Hello. Um he's beautiful
If I
and
can be
he's
used to you when
kind.
you're about to pepper us, I will.
He's very nice, he's very kind, he's God fearing, he's very selfless, always puts me first and the kids.
Mhm.
Please, what else am I looking for? And then he has six pack. Hello.
Ah,
So for me, every single day, and I'm sure I don't tire him. I mean, I'll look at him sometimes and I'll just be like, man, you are so
dear
fine.
Lord, you
Like,
did
hey,
well.
Victor, do I do that? Did I do that yesterday?
Mhm.
I I was just be like, he is so fine. Even today, like he's so fine. Now, if I'm upset, let's say we are fighting or something, we had a quarrel or something, he's still fine. Like, I
Oh,
can't
please,
I can't take
Adela, please, let's face it,
but
Mr. Victor. If
I'm
you
about to
are
answer
beginning
your
to press,
question now.
it's
I'm about to answer
pressure
your
that we can
question.
hear.
So me, I personally believe that chemistry is very, 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 very important. You, it's not the only thing, and I'm still coming. But me, I strongly believe chemistry is very, very important. The person you will be waking up next to for the next several decades better be somebody that you are crushing on. Better be somebody that you can look at and be like, "Ooh, Jesus, ooh, Father, hey God." So I
Now, let
think
me remind you that this is not keeping it straight.
I think chemistry is very, very important. However,
Okay.
I think the most important thing beyond chemistry is he kind? Is he nice? And I'm not even talking about spiritual right now because this is me personally. I think a lot of Nigerians, I can't speak for other people, they have over spiritualized everything,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to marriage. It's all about, oh, God said he's the one. But does this person treat you right? Because if they are not treating you right now, there's no miracle that will happen after
Hmm.
that. They will now, are they naturally kind? Are they naturally kind to people? And it's not just based on how they treat other people, but that is a sign for you to lean on. I think it's very important to pray to know what God says, but I would not advise to do that blindly, to just go into a relationship because, oh, he said the Lord showed him. Did the Lord show you anything? Your life cannot be dependent on some people saying they see prophecy. Prophecy will not hold you when there is
Hmm.
no money in the bank. Prophecy will not hold you when you are pregnant. They say you should be on bed rest, and this man is like, I gotta work. Like I can't. You have to take care of yourself. Things like that. I know too many people that have lost pregnancies because they cannot get the rest that they needed because they don't have a supporting spouse
Hmm.
that is willing to sacrifice for them to be able to carry that baby successfully to full time and so on and so forth. There are still men that believe that, oh, it is the woman's place to cook, to clean, to do this, to do that. Like, first of all, if you guys are friends, if you're best friends, you cannot be watching your friend going down and you're just staring. Second of all, if you actually love someone, you'll be willing to use the model of God's love. Jesus's love is the kind of love that was willing to lay his life down for us. Like that is what love means. If somebody can lay down their lives for you, the rest
Mhm.
assured they'll be willing to cook, they'll be willing to clean, they'll be willing to do anything that needs to be done. They won't say, oh, this is your role, this is your job, this is your, that is how a lot of women are carrying the burden that is not supposed to be for them. Maybe you are both eating the food. Is she the only one that will eat the food when it's done? Maybe you are both using the toilets. Maybe you are both using the bathroom. Like it's just a matter of maturity, which comes back to your point earlier about children, people that are some people raising children that are still like kids. Like you have to be matured to realize, okay, we're going into this as a team. As a team, if a team is playing ball, for example, they won't be saying, no, 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 that side is just your side. I cannot come, I cannot help you. That side, that is your role. That is, it's a matter of winning. Let's just do whatever we need to do together for us to win as a team. Let's not be saying, oh, this belongs to you. Anyway, so to answer your question, it is every single day that I look at him and I say, God, he is so fine. Even when I'm upset with him, I'm like, why do you gotta be so fine? And there has been no day that I'm like, what did I even see? Because check him out. All right, I think we lost Auntie. Ikeolua, can you hear us? Hello. Yeah, I'm gonna check on the kids while we're waiting for. Let me quickly check on them. I heard Zion calling. So,
No.
okay. Hello. Hi guys.
Choose to smile at every challenge. So I'm smiling.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know why the network is knocking me off, and I have both a wireless network and a mobile data that I'm using at the same time. So I don't know what's happening, but the devil's a liar. Okay, so welcome back, and I welcome myself back, and so let me see if I have. Okay, someone is asking a question directly though. It says, I like how you think of, hi Dorika, how you doing? It's great to see you. Um she says, I like how you think of this as a team. I'm curious if your individual personality has anything to do with supporting a team spirit in your marriage. Yeah, and let me put a context to this.
Hello. 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 Do you want us to answer the question while we're waiting on her? But she's trying to put this into context. Hello. Okay. Maybe we should answer the question while we're waiting on her. Victor, do you want to answer? I mean, I've been talking too much.
Yeah. I think so. Right from time we met in high school, and even way back then, I used to be on the reserve side. So, like, I knew what I wanted in life. I knew what I wanted in my future partner, and um, but I wouldn't talk much in school. I used to be very shy. I used to be very quiet in school. So I think that helps. I don't know if I answered the question.
If your personality, your individual personality had anything to do with supporting a team spirit. So
Yeah,
you've always been a team player.
yeah. I've always knew what I wanted, and I knew I wanted my marriage to work, and I was looking out for. I was praying, but at the same time, I was looking out for someone that uh, was compatible with me. I should say, like I was very spiritual. Like I was quiet, but I was very
You
spiritual.
were spiritual, so you're
Yeah,
no longer
like
spiritual.
back then, like I'm a very spiritual person. So I was
So
looking.
are you still spiritual though? Because you said I
I'm very
was.
spiritual.
Okay.
So I was looking out for someone that was also very spiritual and playful, nice, good looking, and all of that. So yeah, I think that helps.
Okay, before I answer my own, can you answer the last question? Was there ever a day that you were not feeling me? Like, ooh, child, this girl is high, no, because we were having a fight.
So definitely, even husband and wife fight, like siblings fight. So husbands and wife, they definitely fight. But I think the most important thing is to know um, that this your partner will not hurt you intentionally. Like everything he or she does, he or she didn't do it to hurt you. Um, he or she meant well. So she's not doing it, or he is not doing it intentionally. So that helps me. That helps
So,
me a lot.
but do I still look
Yeah, definitely.
hot when you are upset? Me, I already
Yeah.
answered. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Am I
What made you
always
laugh?
like, okay, so let me also answer about like individual personality. Sorry, sis, we couldn't hear you anymore. We were just there, so we thought maybe we should answer the question on the screen. Um, Personality wise, you know me, I'm always like lively, bubbly, yay. I'm all about that. So I think one of the reasons that we became friends in secondary school was that he was always quiet, and I'm like, why are you so quiet? So I was always pulling his legs, like, you have to say something, I'm going to get him to talk today. So I think, they say opposites attract, like me being like such an extrovert, him being an introvert. Once in a while, I envy him. I want to be as quiet as him. Like I will just not talk. Sometimes I will say, "Oh, I'm going to be quiet. I will not talk."
We
I'm
just
trying to
not
be like
work.
I'm trying to be like Victor, but it doesn't work. And I think he's also attracted to me being loud and always playful and all, even though that's not him.
Lively.
Yeah, me being lively. So I think because of our personalities, it helps us if we have like any disagreement. When Victor is upset, normally he will just withdraw. Now he's already like quiet, reserved. You don't want him withdrawing because it's like, hey Joe. And then when I'm upset, I'm like screaming, this is that. He's just like, are you little? Yeah. So I think that our personalities do help in terms of the team spirit. I don't think I ever want to go without him. And by go, I mean like in life, because he keeps me checked. He checks my excesses and all that.
Mm.
And then for him, I'm like he's my biggest cheerleader, even though he doesn't talk. Him saying that he doesn't talk, by the way, doesn't apply to me. Like he talks too much when he's with me. It's
Mm.
usually it's all outsiders, and when I say outsiders, it's not even everybody. It's just people that he's yet to know well. Once Victor gets to know you well, he will talk, 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 talk. And then he will say he has headache, and he will say, "Oh, the headache is from talking too much." I'll be like, "Really? People can get headache from talking? Like that's a hobby for some of us." So, but for him, really, he could get headache if he talks too much. So, anyways, I think our personalities definitely help because if we are both the same personalities, we may be clashing.
Mm.
Does that help? So like he's usually calm, cool, collected. But now that doesn't mean that he doesn't get upset. Or you actually don't want him to get upset. People who are
Mm.
quiet like that, people that are quiet like that, you don't want them getting upset because their anger can be real. Like if he's really, really upset. So but he can get upset, but not as much with me. Me, I'm
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. But can
he
you hear
doesn't
me
take his
now?
anger out on me. I should say so. Say that one more time.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. But
Okay.
we can
Great.
barely see you.
Really?
We
Oh,
see you,
yeah.
but so tiny.
Yeah. I make myself a bit tiny when I just want, so that we can
Oh,
see you. Yeah. But you can see me now.
yes.
Um, yes. Even though I think that you can imagine this thing can be whatever, but okay. So let's focus on the event of things. Okay. So thanks for sharing that. And thank you for taking control why the internet said to throw me out. I trust God that this will happen again because even me, I'm feeling it in my chest, but there's nothing I can do today. Okay, so I love the feedback you shared about I was being a team, and because of the person that asked that question, I always say that yes, there's a possibility that people have different personalities or even the same at some point. Even people with the same person or different personalities still clash, but our personality is not obviously not an excuse for any bad behavior. It
Mm-mm.
is just a function of us learning what it is to make this journey successful. If I am aware I am a Nigerian, I'm Victor Osimhen, I'm supposed to be playing for my team so that we score goals. I do not get angry and choose to partner with Algeria. Sorry if anybody is from Nigeria. And Dorika, I think that you're from from another African country, so I hope it's not Algeria. But um my thoughts are, it's just that you cannot choose to not say, okay, I'm going to score for Algeria or play an own goal just because I want to deal with my team. I think that beyond personality is for us to be able to see a goal here. What do I want for this marriage? What do I want for this individual? What's important, at this moment for us, and not so in quote my selfish interest or what I think it should be, but what that's why I always say that prioritize us over your emotions or feelings or whatever, because you will have those feelings. Okay, so I'll just ask, now that you've spoken in that direction, let me ask you, how do you reconcile differences or navigate your disagreements in a way that, and I intentionally choose this word, in a way that honors both people or both personalities in the marriage and honors God?
We try to talk about everything. Like when we have differences, we try to tackle it immediately so it doesn't fester, and then we make sure we do it as soon as possible. And we talk through everything. We talk through everything.
Hmm.
We discuss things. Having an argument doesn't mean that you are fighting. Sometimes that is how you iron things out. So you listen to his views, you listen to her views, and you're trying to iron things out. But you want to make sure that you are kind to each other while you're ironing things out. Okay, why do you become a shebe? Why did you
And
say
that
that we
and
should?
that means why
Why
don't
why
you
did you say that we shouldn't do that? And then he explains, or maybe it's me and I explain, and then the other person is like, but why don't you look at it this way? And we're ironing things out. And while you're doing that, you want to make sure you're not raising your voices
Hmm.
and that you're not that you are kind to each other while you're doing that. But I think for us also another thing that works is don't bring up whatever had happened in the past. Don't say statements like you always do that,
Mm.
or I've I've complained about this again and again every time you keep, like, don't bring up. If you say something like I knew this is what would happen. I knew this would happen. I knew you
Mm.
would. You are not helping matters at all. You are actually making things
Thanks
worse.
a lot. Mm.
When you, if there's something that is really on your mind that is bothering you about your partner, have a conversation with them about it. Not when you guys are having an argument that you now bring that up. If you
Awesome.
want to have a conversation about that, have a conversation about that, and in a kind way, like, dude, I've said this a million times, but it's like you're not taking it seriously. It's actually really bothering me. And they're like, what's that? And then you talk about it. Don't bring it up when you guys are arguing. And then another thing is something came to my mind now and I completely forgot. Um, so be kind when you're talking to each other. Every disagreement or whatever is supposed to bring you closer.
Try.
At the end of it, it's supposed to bring you closer, make you know each other more. And there will also be times that you would intentionally back down. Like, you are right. But sometimes it's not about being right. Sometimes it's about being together. To give an example, and I'm not talking about like destructive behavior, like to condone destructive behavior. No. Um, so for example, let's say um he said something now and then he forgot that he had said it, and I'm arguing, whatever. Sometimes it's okay to just, you know what, it's okay. And then later on, it can come back to him, or I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying he
Okay.
forgets things. Maybe that's not even the best example. And then later on, that thing comes up and it was like, oh, I placed the order. And you're like, but see, I told you. And you were arguing with me. That happens a lot to us. Like sometimes you just be like, oh, it's okay. Oh, me, I know personally, I would say something like, um, I will remind you
When that happens.
when when this is over, you will still come and you will come and say, and my wife told me so. Several times I will say to him that, so this is where you say to your wife, thank you, things like that, and he would laugh. And sometimes it would be him that would tell me that. So it's not all about being right, especially if it's things that don't really matter in the long run.
Mm.
Sometimes, and me, I joke a lot. I'm quick to turn things into jokes, like,
Mm.
Emma, worry, bro, Victor. Don't worry, bro, Victor. I'll still remind you. Things like that. So it's not worth it fighting, because some people, if they are fighting with their spouse, they go to their friend. So for me, this is my
Mm.
friend. This is the person I would want to call and say, Victor, can you believe that this happened?
Mm.
So it's more important for us to keep our friendship in
Awesome.
every situation.
Hmm. I think that the fact that we're talking about that there's a certain skill, there's a certain aptitude required for us to stay married. That's what I hear loudly from both of you. Communication, and there is a way to communicate. More importantly, is communicate on a lighter mood. The way she said, I was telling a couple last week, like this word is not hard. I'm this close to speaking Yoruba, but if you don't understand Yoruba, I'm like, I understand. Like, are you lay? You
Ayele.
know, if you hold life like this, you'll be frustrated in the marriage environment. If you
Mm.
in fact, I can't remember what my husband did this morning, and I started to sing, I promise to be there. But that thing he did actually pissed me off, or should I say not piss off, but just kind of just, when he stepped on my legs, something like that, he stepped on on a pin inside my brain. And I started to sing, like, I was just singing about it, and my kids were laughing. My son said, Mommy, just sing. They didn't even know what was happening, but I was just singing. Because if you hold life too tight to your chest, like my Nigerian people will say, you will not enjoy marriage, just take it easy. So you hear in communication, put humor in there, don't take it too seriously. We want to resolve it, but it's not like the world is coming to an end. And then they also emphasize the importance of understanding that we are friends. We don't go communicate our issues to somebody else who has no idea the sacrifices that we have made for one another, and then they make it worse. Let the communication be more of looking for and I don't always believe that you don't need a third party when need be, but you are going to get a wiser third party and not a foolish one if need be. And it is not to crucify your spouse. So basically, I mean, they're just speaking wisdom very loudly. So let's take it to looking back at your journey, because one thing I've also realized, if there's anything that makes couples, for you, I think that you guys intentionally waited. For us, we did not intentionally wait. Like, we waited 7 years to have our first child. We wanted it from the first year. But I think looking back, sometimes I'm like, gracious God, thank you for allowing me enjoy my first 7 years, And coincidentally, we've been married for 14 years too. you
Yeah.
know yeah, so I was just like, God, thank you for enjoying my life before these little cutie gracious ones came into our lives. I kind of feel like, yeah, yeah, I love the way it's right now. Maybe it wasn't that interesting that time because of agitation, but if I had learned to take it easy, like life it will fix itself. Maybe I would have done better. But looking back on your journey, what's a specific wilderness period in your marriage that you went through, and how did your faith, intentionally, I say faith here, help you to navigate this journey?
Um, so at the beginning of our marriage, things were really tough for us. So we we learned from the beginning to always take things to God. So we prayed, but we're also working hard, trying to get out of like the difficult times. Well, it took a long time, but we also tried to enjoy it like we would. We did a lot of road trips.
Hmm.
And like we tried to enjoy life. Like initially when we were planning on getting married, the
Wait, wait,
plan
wait. Things were really tough. What was tough?
financially things were really tough for us.
Okay.
The plan
Hmm.
initially was for us to wait for between 2 and 5 years um,
Before having
before
kids.
having kids. So we had already planned that we would wait and enjoy our friendship before bringing kids.
Hmm.
So, but things were so tough that we even thank God that we waited because there was no way we could have afforded having kids, bringing kids into the picture.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we were praying, we were doing everything possible without like legally possible. But God was like the bedrock of our relationship. God was like we kept going to God, we kept praying and trusting God, and yeah, that really helped us.
What was the question again?
The question was basically, like at the time, what time in your
Oh,
journey did you experience what I
sorry.
call a wilderness?
Sorry,
Yeah, but
when Victor is talking like this, I get lost. I'm thinking about many things. So yes, I remember the question now.
but please, Adela, please stop oppressing us, please. We
No,
cover
I'm not.
ourselves.
I'm not oppressing you. I
Okay.
needed to remember the question. Ehen.
Don't be
So
distracted. You will go back to him later after
Victor
the.
he has, mentioned it a bit. When we first got married, things were really tough financially. Um, he's an architect, well established in Nigeria. He was doing really well. I was struggling here, and I told him, you know what, we can move to Nigeria. We can both live in Nigeria because you're doing well in Nigeria. Me, I don't have my residency yet here. And he said that he would come and we would both live here and try to figure things out. And so, as soon as we got married, we came here together. And then things were really tough. And we didn't want to do anything illegal. Like, we had all kinds of advices, people telling us to use other people's social security. We're not crucifying anybody that does, but we didn't even know where God was taking us. But we just
Mm.
insisted that no, we would play by the books. We would not do anything illegal. People offered for us to marry a resident, marry a citizen, so you can get your green card. This is
Off the
that.
mic, off the mic, off the mic, off the mic.
Even pastor, so-called pastor, Nigerian pastor would advise you, why don't you look for somebody to marry for you to get your quali, this is that. No, but what we did was we sat down with immigration lawyers to know. I came with student visa, and then when I was working after school, the place I was working that I was hoping would file for me, I had just started there when my dad died in Nigeria. And if I should go for my dad's funeral, I would lose my job because I wouldn't be given enough time. I only had 4 day bereavement, and I knew I had to be at my dad's funeral. So I went, and so I had to resign from my job, and that basically put an end to all hopes of getting a company to sponsor for you. And then I came back as an what's it called, as a foreign correspondent. So we both lived on that visa, but it only allows me to freelance, did not allow him to work legally. We tried everything. We wanted to wash plates, whatever they were asking for social. We tried to get it and we couldn't get it. And we didn't want to do anything illegal. So we were working, he was working online, which was really hard. It was a really tough time. But the good thing that really helped us at the time was we had already decided that no kids, at least for the first 2 to 5 years, no kids. And so we started out living one room, in a one room apartment
With roommates.
with roommates. It's not like a one bedroom to ourselves. We had roommates. This was in Brooklyn. So we had was it three other
Three.
roommates that we
Wow.
were, we were sharing the restroom. If you want to go to the restroom, you go and knock first to know if there's anybody there. For you to know
But
if you
did you mean it was that emotion or playback? Or did
Brooklyn,
you mean America?
Brooklyn, New York, in Brooklyn, New York. And we were sharing fridge. We had our own side of the rack. I think we were in the second rack on the left side.
Hmm.
I don't even remember. It was really tough for us at the time. We could barely make ends meet. And I would cry. I would tell Victor, let's just go back to Nigeria. You're doing way better in Nigeria. And he would tell me, I was in the show at that time, by the way. And he would tell
Wow.
me, oh, there's something that God is trying to do with this your show. I'm not going to be in the way of what God is trying to do.
Wow.
We would come out on the other side, and he would encourage me. He would hold me on his chest and just encourage me and all.
Mhm.
So things were really tough that time. There was a time we didn't have enough money to buy tissue paper. There was a time we didn't have enough money to take the train to go to church, and we were living in New York. It was really hard. And then people will call you from home and be like, "So has the Lord done it? Is your wife pregnant?" And you just look at them like,
Pregnancy is not the issue
"No,
right now.
we're not ready." And that was a shock for a lot of people back home. Like, what do you mean you are not ready? Because they say on your wedding day that in 9 months' time we will be here to come, and the apartment we were renting had bed bugs.
Yep.
We didn't have bed bugs in
In
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
We had bed bugs in the Brooklyn, New York. It was really hard, and we lived there
Wow.
for I think
Two.
2 years,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
then we were able to save enough to move to a one room apartment in New Jersey. But even there, at the one room apartment, we had determined that we're not having kids in an apartment, period. It was a really nice apartment. It was just one room. So whenever his parents are visiting, we would move to the living room so that they can sleep in the bedroom. Whenever my mom was visiting, because my dad was late, we would move to the living room so my mom can sleep in the bedroom. So imagine if we had kids in that situation. So who moves to the living room? Is it us with the baby that will move to the living room? Is it the elderly people that will sleep in the living room? And usually when they come, they spend months. So yeah, things were really tough. So we went through that. But the one thing that helped us was that first and foremost, we were together. Going through it alone would have been tough, but going through it together was and Victor sacrificed everything for us by joining the military. So
Wow.
he joined the military, and that's how
Mm.
he got his,
Eventually.
yeah, that's how he got his citizenship. Now, knowing him, everybody that knows him, they were like, "Did you say military? Like which Victor?
Yeah.
What's military? Like no." But he did it, even though that's not like his personality and stuff. He did it. It was really, really hard. It was really hard. But he joined the military for us. He went on deployment for 9 months. I did not see my husband for 9 months.
Oh.
It was so hard. I slept.
Tiola, don't make me laugh.
But I think another thing that made it easy, I think another thing that made it easy for us was that we didn't have kids. I know there are people who are genuinely praying to God for kids. God will answer your prayers. But for us at that time, it was a blessing that we didn't
Mm.
have kids. Imagine having to deal with bed bugs and you have kids. We would have spent way longer in
That's
that
right.
Brooklyn apartment if we had kids. It would have taken us a longer time to save up to afford an apartment to ourselves. And the
Mm.
time that we spent in the apartment would have been way longer if we had kids, because then it would be harder to save money. There's no way you can tell a kid that I'm so sorry. I really don't
That's
know
right.
why everybody decided to be calling me on this thing. So I've muted my phone. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
So for us, it was easier because we didn't have kids. Like Victor said, oh my goodness.
Okay, they probably want to be able to start it.
Like Victor said, there were times that we would literally get in the car, go for field trips, road trips.
Road trip.
First of all, the reason we could afford a car when in the midst of our suffering was because we were able to save some things because we didn't have other expenses with kids. So we were able to, and I just want to say this real quick that for those who may not know, having lived in the US for so long, we can tell that this is one of the things that sets Americans apart from us Africans.
Mhm.
They plan their lives. And this is one of the reasons why they don't have generational poverty. You can do with this information as you like, but there are two very important things that they do. Most Americans, when they get married, they don't have kids immediately. The husband and the wife, they will take their time to work for some years. They usually plan that 2 to 5 years. We have friends, a lot of friends that waited 5 years after they got married before deciding to have kids. So in that 5 years, he works hard, I work hard, we put our money together to start investing. We'll start having investments before we start having kids. And then they decide to start having kids. So when they now decide to start having kids, they have sufficient money to raise their kids. That's one thing they do. The second thing they do is to make sure they have life insurance.
Mm.
So when their parents die, they inherit hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Mm.
which sets them ahead of us. And they do the same thing for their children. Even the Bible says the righteous lives
Yeah.
um,
Inheritance for their children's children.
inheritance for their children's children.
Mm.
So they always make sure that they have life insurance. They make sure that they are not a burden to their children in their old age and even when they pass on. It's usually amongst us Africans that we're raising funds when somebody dies for people who have life insurance. And now a lot of Africans have life insurance. I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying for people back home,
Mm.
there a lot of people have this mentality that my child is supposed to take care of me. I have taken care of you, now you take care of me. But that's actually not what the Bible says. You're supposed to leave inheritance for your children and your children's children. Anyway, so we went through a lot, but it was easier because it was just the two of us. And like Victor said, we traveled a lot. We could get in the car and just go, and
And we're still traveling
we're
even so
still
now.
traveling till now. We've been to Canada how
Okay.
many times?
8 times.
At least 8 times together. That's different from because when he was on deployment, my sister, I was traveling. I went to Australia, I went to Canada, I went to
South
South
Africa.
Africa. I was
Please,
doing
so where are you now getting the money for the traveling for? Okay, so let's not talk about that so that we don't
yes.
go.
So
We'll hit.
after 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 I went on my own to
Okay.
do what I do, things got better for us, and especially with him joining the military. After he joined the military, child, please, we had our papers. We could buy a house zero down as a military person. Even
Mm.
now that he's a veteran, he can buy a house zero down. And
Yeah.
so eventually, we were able to buy a house. When he got in the military, it wasn't long after he got in the military that he went on deployment.
Okay.
And by that time, we were ready to have kids. Financially, we could do it.
Of course.
We were renting a house at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least it's a house. So financially, we were good. But I said to him, I said, Uncle, please go for that deployment and come back. I cannot do pregnancy alone. Like, it's a big deal. You have to see every moment. So you know how much I suffer because we're
That's right.
one. People do it. I have
Okay.
nothing against people that do it, but my sister, it's not easy. Even
That's
that
true.
9 months without pregnancy, it wasn't easy. I had pneumonia. I injured my knee. I was on crutches. I was weeding in the front yard. I had to pull all the
There was no
because
pregnancy. There was no pregnancy then
and there was no pregnancy.
during my deployment.
Yes, during his deployment. I wasn't pregnant at the time, but it still
Okay.
wasn't easy dealing with pneumonia, injuring myself, being on crutches, having to take care of the house by myself, the yards, everything that Victor would normally do, changing the bulbs and everything like what.
Mm.
Anyways, I survived. So now imagine having to do all that with pregnancy. So
Mm.
eventually we God answered our prayers. We were financially stable. We're not like wealthy, but God has been faithful.
Mhm. At
So,
least you can still afford to send me some ten
and,
thousand dollars that you're not
but
using
we're so
after the
happy
vet.
that we didn't go through that wilderness with the kids. We would
Yeah.
have been
Great.
frustrated parents, and we may be taking it out on the kids for no reason. They didn't
Mm.
ask to be brought into the world so that our mama can rama one more unnecessarily. I don't know how to translate
This
that.
Ancora means what? It means coroing?
All
A
right.
finisher? Okay, so let's move from the question of the wilderness. And what I hear there is that you talked about us centering on God, just consistently praying together. And beyond that is also that we also plan. I've seen people say that they give birth to the number of children that God put in their, maybe it's number of egg, or number of sperm, I don't even know, that God gave them. So anyway, but you can hear that you also plan, right? If you hear God otherwise against your plan, of course respond to it, but don't put the responsibility that you're supposed to have with yourselves, as a parent or an expecting parent on God, because God has put a level of responsibility on you. Use it and stop saying it is God that made me have so many number of children that I can't care for. Even if it is just one, I'm not familiar with a God that makes you do those things. Of course, you hear here that planning is very key. And of course, they still enjoy themselves while they wait for the tribulation to pass. Yes, if you put burden on top of your mind again so much, you won't enjoy the marriage, and you still don't have, if it's money, if it's children, whatever it is that you're waiting on God for, you don't have it yet. If you postpone your joy, I promise you that joy might never come, right? So they stayed joyful while they were waiting, and I love that. There is a question here from Joy. We are going to answer it, but I wanted to make it about the second to the last question. And yes, I love that the way Funke put it, proper planning about your life and family forestalls generational poverty. Yeah,
It does.
yeah. Thank
Because
you.
sorry, people will tell us then that, oh, just have kids, God will take care of them. Allah don't touch your mom. But then these same people will now call you to ask for school fees for their children, and you want to tell them, so is God not, why don't you
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
take care of this?
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes people over spiritualize things. It's common sense. You don't want to be in a situation where we don't have anybody to be calling for money for diapers. So if we now start out like that, that means we will also be in the category of waiting for these children to now grow up for us before we start enjoying life. And we didn't want to do that. There's nothing wrong in the other day we were reading the Bible, and we were reading about how God created the plants, the trees, and everything before. It was all for men, oh, but He didn't create man before figuring out what they will eat.
Mm.
He
Mm.
took his time, oh, every single day He creates something that He knows man would need. He creates what He knows that man would need it, but man wasn't here yet now. Yet He
Mm-hmm.
took time. He took 5 days to create what man would need, and He created man in one day. He created man in one day. But then when man came, Unko, he had everything that he.
Mm. I'm
So
so
it
good to
doesn't
see your face. We see
it
you.
doesn't mean that the kids will not go through the realities of life. That's not what it means. And we'll definitely make sure, like, for example, one of the things we plan is to make sure that they go on mission trips as often as possible, not just in Nigeria, but in
All over
several
together.
countries. So we want them to know the realities of life, but we want to make sure that we are not raising them with bitterness
That's right.
based on our own decisions.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome. Thank you so much for what you shared on with respect to finances, and particularly for Africans living in the America. Before I thought that once we get to the airport, just hand those dollars and say, welcome to the land.
oh, we're having trouble hearing you.
Oh my God. Can you hear me now?
It's breaking. Hello? You're frozen now if you can hear us. Hey, Baba.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We're hearing you, but it's breaking. Uh-oh, she's gone. Hey, Kileje.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Even me, I can hear some funny sounds here. I'm not sure why. But
Oh,
thank you
okay.
for sharing that. And oh, I'm so glad I did not lose all the comments that was there before. So, Joya, I can see your question. I'm going to respond to that. But let's quickly go to maybe the last question for our couple for today because time is fast spent. Internet took some of our time too. But it's okay. I was kidding that, I thought before now that when we get to the airport, they just hand us some dollars and say, welcome to the American dream. But now I know it doesn't work that way. So let me pass it over to Mr. Victor right now. If your marriage could leave a legacy for others, what would you hope it would be?
Mm. Planning, being intentional, like um, putting God first, like having God at the center of your own, and also realizing that everything passes. Whatever trial you're going through, it shall definitely pass. These two shall pass. Um,
Love that.
Nothing is permanent in life. Be it trials, be it yeah, we're all praying that good things happen to us, but yeah, everything passes. Everything has a season. Um, Make good use of every season. Try to enjoy it as much as possible. We're hoping that everything will be rosy for everybody in our marriages, but at the same time, when things happen, when trials come, try to enjoy it, and yeah, making God the center of your home, being friends with your spouse, become friends before you even get married. Um, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I think that he mentioned a number of gems. I hope that Adela still has something to say, but over to you
I
with
think he
respect to
said
that. What legacy? Okay.
I think he said everything really. I think be best of friends. Cultivate friendship. How do you cultivate friendship? You spend time, you talk. Ask every question you can think of under this heaven. Talk. Talk about everything. So cultivate friendship and also plan. People will say life happens. Yes, life happens, but you can also do some things so that um life doesn't just happen, at least not all the time, that life will happen. Plan. You guys are adults. You if you see
Ah,
people, some
Auntie
people some
Beckham.
people in Nigeria, they decided, you know what, Nisuru Damlo. Some people in Nigeria decided, for example, that you know what, I want my child to have American passport, or I want my child to have Canadian passport, so that they can travel to 180 countries without having to queue for visa like I did or like I do. And then you see that they had their kids here. It didn't just happen by accident. Oh. There were steps they took. They planned. And then they took steps. Like we know one of them, for example, although we know a lot of them, but one of them, for example, decided they won't have kids until they can afford to be able to come and have their child here. And it took them 5 years.
Hmm.
Especially living in Nigeria, their ears had everything hearable under heaven, but they knew what they wanted. They saved enough money.
Awesome.
They both applied for visiting visa, they got it. And then they 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 got pregnant, and then they came here when it was time to have the baby, and they paid the hospital out of their pocket. They paid everything, did not owe a dime. And so their child now has American passport. That is the sacrifice they were willing to make for their children to have dual citizenship.
That's
It didn't
right.
happen by accident. You get what I'm saying? Like they were very intentional.
Perfect.
Um, so I think planning is the biggest thing that we talk about. Also, me, I would say don't over spiritualize things. Once again, is this person kind? I don't care how many people say they saw vision, even if you're general overseer, not just your pastor. Your pastor said he saw vision, your general overseer saw vision. But this brother is hitting people. And they are telling you that is your husband. Rebuke the devil. Say what? I rebuke, I reject by fire, by force. No. Is this person kind? Are they nice? How do they talk to people? Do they believe do they believe that a woman is supposed to worship them? You better run, because that will be your cross. So me, I know over spiritualize things. So I
I dare say, Adiola, that I think that the concern then is not even spirituality. I often just say that I think that it's an act of people, um, for lack of a better word, I say religionizing stuffs, right? Just it's religion on top of, because I believe that spirituality should shape how you think, what you say, your actions. It should regulate you. Actual spirituality should put you should help you make the right decision at the right time. So I think that it's not I think it's just majorly religion. Some people will tell you that God will provide. Who is God? They have no idea. Do you get what I mean? So I think it is those things that just really putting religion or assuming you know a God that you have no relationship with. Because if you have a relationship with God, it is not about your GO or somebody prophesying that this is your spouse. I used to make this joke. My husband was going to be introduced in church, I think a week or 2 weeks before our wedding. I can't remember precisely. And that Sunday, somebody came to me and said, God said that you're my wife. I'm like, okay, I'll see after service, because I know that during service, I'll be called up. And do you get what I mean?
So I didn't even bother. I'm like, I'll see after service. Of course, brother did not come back afterwards. So, the point
Did
here
God
is that
not
I think is not spiritualizing. It's just that maybe people don't even, and maybe not everybody. Some of us Christians don't even understand what it means to be spiritual. Actual
Yes,
spirituality.
I think some people they leave their common sense behind whenever they hear God say so. But Victor was trying to say something.
Another thing
Yeah.
I want to add is, which I think is also very important, decisions, decisions, decisions. Like, is closely related to planning, but I feel like in relationship, in marriage, generally, decision making is underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Where most people are today is because of the decisions they made yesterday. And where you will be tomorrow is because of the decisions you are making today. So
That's right.
when you are trying to make decisions as a couple, even as individuals, think about tomorrow. Like, look at it in the light of God's word. Pray about it. No decision is too simple. No, and no
Every
decision is
decision has a
every decision has
consequence.
a consequence. So whatever you do in your marriage, even as singles, make sure you know the consequence before doing it, and then you pray well, you consult if you need to talk to people who know better than you. Like, decisions, I think, is very important. That's one
Awesome.
legacy. Yeah.
And I also want to
Awesome.
add that for us, we are very grateful that we found each other, and because not everybody gets to not everybody gets to enjoy true love, and so we don't take it for granted. Because there are people who are true Christians and they Damilola.
Mr. is like, Damilola, why are you doing that to
There
us?
are people who are true
Why?
Christians and they are not
Dake,
enjoying.
Damilola.
There are people who are true Christians and they are not enjoying their marriage. So we are not like we are grateful. We are not generalizing. This is not about how spiritual
Yeah.
you are. You know, there are people that don't
Mhm.
even know God and they found true love.
Or
This
knowing
is
how to
not
Mhm.
about
do things.
yeah. It's not that we know how to do things or that we are special. No, but first of all, we talk through everything. We make sure that we are friends and we plan. It's not easy. It's not always easy when you plan. It means you have to sacrifice some things. For example, if I'm trying to lose 20 pounds now, I need to have a deadline that okay, by December I want to lose that 20 pounds. What does that actually mean? It means I need to lose 5 pounds every month or something. So okay, how do I now lose that? You get what I'm saying?
That's
I
right.
need to make some sacrifices, which was what we did and what we still do. So I think sometimes people just believe that oh, God will lead us every step. When we get to that bridge, we will cross it. You just get pregnant first, then we will figure out how we will pay for hospital. We'll figure out how, not that God doesn't provide, but sometimes you go through things that God didn't intend for you to go through. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or you want to it's just a matter of being like your father, which is God. He's very intentional in everything he does. Like I said earlier, he took his time to create everything man would need before creating man. Why didn't God walk by faith? Why didn't God say God will provide? I will make things happen as we go. He can actually do that, you know. He could provide the things that man need as he was needing it. He's God, but he didn't do that. Anyways, I think I've said enough.
Yeah. We get the message, right? Yeah, we are not saying people should not trust God. Please have faith in God. We understand the supremacy of God, but He created us and gave us our brains because He wants us to use it. Some of TD Jakes will say that God created wood, God created trees. He didn't make tables, right? There's a reason that happened. Is because He wants us to use the trees He's given us and make tables with it. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so there's a question that I'm not sure. Let me just throw it to. I'm going to throw it to Mr. Victor, and then we'll wrap up. Someone says that do you think it's something, and and it's okay to share this in the light of your view. I can probably share from the place of being a professional counselor over time, but I want to, from your point of view, this person is saying, do you think it's something to be concerned about when a third party often asks to step in to help, even, often have to step in to help, even though it's not a marriage yet. So maybe like they're courting and they always require a third party to step into their conversation. Mr. Fal, I like the fact that Mr. Victor, you are a man, and they said our husbands are the leader of the house. So please share with us how do you feel, or what are your thoughts around that?
I think it's a red flag. For us, we decided from the beginning that whatever issues we have, we would never involve a third party. And up till now, 14 years after, we've never involved anybody. Like, nobody irons our dirty laundries. Like, whenever we're having issues, we are mature enough to take care of it ourselves. So if at the beginning of your relationship, your partner, or whoever you're hoping to settle down with, you're having issues frequently and you are running to someone, I think for me it's a red flag. Yeah, for me it's a red flag.
Mm.
Can I say
in
something?
my
Adela, do you have a
in
word?
my
Yeah.
opinion.
Can I say
Adela, I
something?
give you 30 seconds because I know you have a whole book on that conversation.
Mm, So I don't know, maybe the person is asking for asking sake, but if you are asking because that is a true picture of your situation, thank you for being bold enough to ask first and foremost. Second of all, I'm glad that you guys are going through that now, not when you are married. It's easier
Absolutely.
because you are not married. And I think when someone is upset is when you know their true color, their true colors. Now, not every relationship you are in is meant to end in marriage. I'm not telling people to separate. Sometimes you are in a relationship to learn. You just have to have that wisdom to know, okay, this one is just for me to learn. Because if you are already having issues that both of you are not able to settle, that you are having to bring a third party, and this has happened over and over, that gives you a glimpse of what your marriage will also be like. So if you now want that kind of marriage, and by the way, whatever you see when you guys are dating, just multiply it, is what you will see after
When
you
you're
get married.
married.
So if you're already seeing that, you can go ahead with the marriage if you want, but just be prepared that this is what will continue to happen, but on a much larger scale. Maybe they are not laying hands on you right now. It may graduate to that. Another thing you can do is to part in peace and just let everybody be. Let them be, let you be. Marriage is not for you to endure. It's supposed to be for you to enjoy. Unfortunately, today there are so many preachers that will talk about how you are not supposed to leave a marriage. You're supposed to stay even when it's hurting you. So, but if you are seeing the signs before you even say I do, then whatever happens is
Before you did.
yes, you are the one. You can, God has given you the power. If you are not married yet, you are not married, you don't have to go into a marriage that you will endure. So I think the person has to make some decisions, because
Yeah.
nothing is going to change you. If anything, things will just multiply after you say I do.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mr. and Mrs. Fire on that. It is not just a red flag, my darling. It is a red skyscraper.
Then
So, you need to now look at the situation to, number one, separate from that. The first thing you should do right now, or we believe you should do, is to separate from that relationship and, go
see,
sort
my
yourself
sister,
individually.
you don't want them to say you are the one that said they should separate. See, let them make their decision.
No, me, I am. See,
Hey,
what I'm saying here is just, I mean, like, it's your choice. Like Mr. Victor
mhm,
already said, you are absolutely responsible for your decision. But always
mhm.
know that you can make your choice. Like people say, it's my choice, my dear. True, it's your choice, but you do not choose your consequences. You can only make a choice.
Exactly.
So I stay in the place where I agree with you that you can choose to discard, but I trust that because she has asked this question about three, he or she has asked this question about 3 times, So I commend
Would
you for
you
putting it out there.
I'm
And
sorry to put this in, but would you want your child to go ahead, put your child in that situation? Do you want your child to put his or her head in that kind of relationship where they will be coming to settle fight for you, and then bring your grandchildren into that kind of environment? So you
mm,
have to make the decision yourself. But Yoruba people will say the way Saturday looks will tell you how Sunday will look like. You're already
that's
seeing
right.
the signs.
That's
So
right. And because I usually, also give people this grace, because some people are not doing badly because they are wicked, is because they don't know. But I promise you, you cannot change them. Let them realize what is wrong with them and fix them. That's why I feel, if I were in your shoes, the first step to take is to separate. Go fix yourself. I have strongly communicated this over and over, that a fulfilled life is a prerequisite for a fruitful marriage. So, in yourself, go settle down. If you hear this couple speak, you can hear the undertone or the silent, stuff just saying that in themselves they are fulfilled. You will transfer your fulfillment or the state of your life and personality into your marriage. And like Adela said, now you are going to bring it good measure, pressed down, shaking together, and run over. So go out and fix yourself. What even made you make this choice of someone that you always disagree with? Because your decision making, ability is also a proof of how matured enough you are for marriage. So if you choose them, you want to go back and say, what made me choose them? And then fix yourself. Let them also go fix yourself. If they are now ready to come back into the relationship, the conversation should be terms and condition. And I'm not saying that you should now rule out do's and don'ts, but now check out, do our values align? What does a conflict mean to you? This wonderful couple has said it. Conflicts make us better. Conflicts are inevitable. They are 24/7 menu on your journey of marriage. However, when they come, are we seeing a tool for us to get better and bond better in our marriage, or a tool to fight to finish? A tool for Instagram and Facebook to know he just slapped me, or he has done it again, or she's not listening to me. I mean, is that what conflict does to you? Or to say, okay, now what do we do to get better with this conflict? And so I say go back, separate from that relationship, go fix yourself individually, then come if it's possible. If you ever find it a place to come back, this time around, it's on checking. Does now this is my value and understanding with respect to relationship. Does it not align to yours, or it's not, right? So check the value alignment, check if what is priority for you is priority for her or him, and then that's when you now begin to re-strategize and then prepare. Oh, you know what they call, you don't know that song that say, as it shock you, no, so it shocked me too. Because if you don't prepare, it will shock you, it will shock all of us that were watching you. And again, if you don't learn from the mistakes of others, we will learn from yours. I promise you. So my thoughts
and
are that, please go back and let that relationship at least separate for now, put things in order. Your multiple messages, she's showing that you keep saying, you always disagree, you never agree on anything. I can see what you're chatting. So my advice will be, please go back and reconstruct the foundation of that relationship by separating. Either person go work on themselves, grow into maturity that relationship requires. And then when we are coming back, the conversation should be, does our value now align? If it doesn't, don't bother. There's no point going into such relationships. I have another question.
I just want to
Oh,
say real quick also that please don't ever believe the devil's lies that, oh, you are too old or nobody else will touch
mm,
you or this is it. You can't start over now. You just have to endure this or manage this. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Sometimes God wants to bless you, but because you're not letting go of what's in your hand, you can't receive what He has. There's always the right person for someone out there. You just have to be willing to trust God to bring that
I love it. If you don't let go, fake original will not come. And I'm not saying this person is fake. I'm just saying that if you hold on too tightly to what is not yours, what you ought to have will not come. And this other question from Funke says that what can you do when your spouse refuses to have a second child after 6 years of birthing your first child, knowing fully well that the age is not on your side? Um, Mr. Victor, do you want to answer that?
Um, First and foremost, for me, I think in this age that we're in right now, age is never an issue. With technology, age is never an issue. I think also if your partner is not on board with you having another child, are you ready to raise the child by yourself, like all alone? I think you should get to a point where you both agree. If he's not on board right now, if you can find a way to convince him to get on board, and if he's not getting on board, there's nothing wrong in adopting a child. Uh,
Hey,
okay.
bro, hey, bro, Victor,
Okay, Mr. Victor, do you want me to help?
bro, Victor,
Or
yeah,
Stella, do you want to help?
that is o-
Okay.
I think, first of all, Auntie Funke, you, and I'm pretty sure you know this. You should get to the bottom of why he's not agreeing first and foremost. What is it? Is it finances? Was it traumatized during the first child? Because some people had like difficult pregnancy or difficult delivery, and just that whole
The
experience.
husband. I think she's talking about the husband.
I know.
Okay.
I said to Victor, I said, I want more children. He's like, huh? No, no, not with me, maybe with somebody else. Because of what he went through when we had Bobo. No, but really, I shouldn't be even thinking about having another child after all that I went through. So, but we're not talking about us, we're talking about Auntie Funke. I think the first thing is to find out why he's not on board on having another child. Um, and what kind of father is he to the child that you have right now? And I me, I'm not trying to generalize. Some people will suggest that, "Ah, is it, does he have other children outside? Do you need to find out about that?" I don't know, but I think the most important thing, and we can't really give any advice until we know why he's not on board. And I have a feeling that Auntie Funke knows why he's not on board. Maybe if you can shed more light as to why he's not on board, if you can tell us what he's afraid of or what is making him say no, then we'll be able to give better advice.
Mm. Okay, so because let me just I think that both of you have spoken well to that. But the thing is that I usually say this with people that I counsel. I say that the first because and this is because there's already a background. I believe that what Mr. and Mrs. Fire has shared is a background to what I'm now going to share. If you've checked everything they have said, the next level of it is that remember that this gracious couple has told us that having children requires planning. You can't do it alone. So if it requires planning, if the other person is not on board, and it is not for selfish reason, you probably want to listen to their why, like they already said.
Mhm.
However, if it is for selfish reason, the first mistake to make in marriage is to have a child for someone or have a child with someone
That
that is
doesn't want you.
irresponsible. The
Yeah.
second mistake to make is to now have a second child for them. So if it is a thing of they cannot share in your responsibility, there is no point having another child with them. So this must be checked. As far as I'm concerned, I feel like she said, what's the why? If the why, is for selfish reason. They don't want to take responsibility. Why do you think it's important to have a second child? If a second child is that important to you, I basically would say, because of our time, you want to probably see a counselor so you can have a counselor. And please, I say carefully here, see a professional counselor, because they will be able to guide or analyze the situation and support you with what you should be thinking, or what you should prioritize in this season. If you might your priority might be wrong to say I want a child, and that might not be the priority. It might be about fixing that relationship, and then because I can sort of see a foundational issue beyond what the main issue is. So, as we wrap up, then before we wrap up, before I ask the couple the final question, and I hope we wrap up in 5 minutes. I see a feedback here saying that there is no third party required in marriage. I get what you're trying to say with respect to what you heard. I guess mention, if your foundation is right and the journey is smooth like it should be, you don't need a third party. But you see, if things are not the way they should be, you might need a third party. Do not cover up and pretend that everything is fine when it is not fine. Now, what is important is that you have a wise third party, not the otherwise, right? So ensure that the third party you have in your relationship are the ones that will help you groom, your marriage in the direction that it should go, not the one that will tear it apart. So I just wanted to note that because of this comment that I see here. And finally, I would ask, both couple to tell us what is one thing, because the priority here is to show people that marriage is fruitful and it can be gracious and glorious. So we want you guys to tell us what is one thing that you appreciate most about your spouse today as we close.
Hmm.
Right.
No, you go ahead first.
um, I like that she's beautiful.
Okay.
She's godly. She's lively. Um,
Okay.
yeah. I'm sorry you said one thing, but yeah. And then she,
Awesome.
she listens too.
Hmm.
Oh, child, tell me about
I,
that.
I love that, right? Yeah. So over to you. What do you appreciate about your spouse?
It's hard to pinpoint one thing. I'm really grateful for the kind of person he is. He's very selfless. He's very disciplined, very, very disciplined. He is very sacrificial. Whatever it takes, if he sets a goal, he achieves that goal. If the goal means he won't get enough sleep for the next 6 months, he will do that thing. Um, he's very neat. He's always cleaning. I mean, keeping things clean. He cleans the house like it's for him. It's like it's nothing, you know.
Hmm.
um he's very kind, very, very kind, very nice. He's very hardworking. Victor is too hardworking. He would rather work than eat. Victor, at least eat some breakfast. No, no, I just need to get this thing done and take it out of the way. That is my husband for you. He may not eat breakfast until afternoon because he's like, no, I just need to take this out of the way. And I'm like, but if you eat, you will be able to do better. He's like, no, no, my mind will be there. He's too hardworking, I think. I mean, I can keep going on. He's good looking. He's beautiful. He maintains his six pack. I
Okay.
know
If
somebody.
we leave Adela, will not leave you. Okay, Adela, we hear you. Okay. And honestly, I enjoyed this conversation with both of you. Like I always say, one thing I believe that God asked
Oh,
me
he's
to
a
do
great
not.
dad. He's a great dad. He can take
Oh,
care of the children all by himself. Change diapers, bathe them, clothe them, go out with them. I don't have to worry about him if I'm
oh,
away and he has the kids. So
awesome. Awesome. Mr. Victor, my head is swelling on your behalf. But yeah, we're so grateful for the opportunity to host you. Thank you for sharing so selflessly, so openly, and like I usually tell people, this isn't scripted. No one is acting for you. This is possibility that you can see, and this I know so many people living in this context on the surface of the earth, particularly in the abroad for that matter. So what we are encouraging is that marriage is beautiful. I want to put it before your face that yes, it is beautiful and you can see for yourself. And so I'll take a cue from this. I hope you've learned one thing or the other that will help you even in your marriage environment. If it is good, it can be better. If it's better, it can be best. It's just for us to get better. Please note that we are not speaking from the place of perfection. We are just showing you that we can make this work when we build together, when we have friendship, and we put the goal, the vision of the married before us so that we can leave a legacy behind, not just for our children, but our community at large. And I hope you got that message today. Thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. File, for joining us.
Thank you
And
for
we
having
really
us.
do
Thanks for having
appreciate
us.
you. And God bless you. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye. And
Bye.
this is to Damilola and I remember the name.
Embarrassing me.
And Dara Simi. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.